So this video, without question, is the most expensive video that I have ever done, with the iPhone 17 Pro costing $1,100 and the iPhone 17 Pro Max costing $1,200. It's not even close to any of the other videos I've done, and this is just an unboxing video, the second one that I've ever done. If you want to see another unboxing, I did the AirPods Pros 3 right over there just earlier today. So today we're going to be taking a look also at the iPhone 17 Pro lineup. Now, my wife wanted the orange one, and because I use mine for video, I wanted the darkest color possible, so I went with deep blue. And so why don't we go ahead and start with the brightest color, because that's going to be the one that everybody wants to see. It's the new color. And interestingly, with this phone being $100 more than the 16 Pro, it is also going backwards to aluminum from titanium, which I've been rocking a 15 Pro Max, and this thing has titanium as well, but they went back to aluminum, particularly for the cooling properties. So we'll go ahead and unbox the bright orange one first and see if I'm going to regret not buying a bright color, or if I will be happy that I bought a darker color. So it says in the box you get the iPhone 17 Pro and a USB-C charging cable, and that's it. It requires an eSIM because North America, but good news, Taiwan also supports eSIMs with their carriers, so it won't be a problem. Wow, that is flashy. Oh my God. That is a color. Holy crap. Actually, not the color, but I like this sort of even more curved edge feel that it has. That's interesting. So let's go ahead and get that peel. I'm gonna hold it up here and just, I don't know if I got that in the audio or not, we'll see. But yeah, this is the iPhone 17 Pro, and that is the color. And of course in the box you have you get a nice braided USB-C cable, so that's nice. Same kind of thing as what you get with your keyboard if you're a sadist and you like using the Apple keyboard, or the Magic Trackpad, which is the much more preferable input method made by Apple. Like, as you probably inferred by me saying I have the 15 Pro, I skipped the 16 generation. Like, I just didn't have an interest in it. I figured the 15 Pro had everything I wanted in a Pro level phone, including USB-C at full speed, high resolution cameras for 4K video recording, really good video recording capabilities, including ProRes, although these are supposed to be able to record in ProRes RAW, which will be very interesting to see. And man, I don't particularly mind the camera bump, but it's a choice. I will be curious if this will be worth keeping, not in a case, but that's for me to decide with my phone, not my wife's. But the orange is definitely, an interesting color. Sorry, honey. Let's go ahead and fire this one up. And while this one's firing up, I'm going to put the boxes aside here and I'll unbox mine. All right, so let's take a look at the deep blue. Now, I do have a white one coming soon. That's my sister-in-law's, so I might take a look at that. Let me know if y'all want, or I'll just incorporate it into the full review video, so just let me know. But let's go ahead and take a look at my color, and I 100% don't regret getting this color. Right off the bat, I like this color so much more. I prefer black. Again, one of the reasons I prefer the darker colors is because when you film, if you're filming anything reflective, like I use my phone for pickup shots on things like video reviews with, well, screened devices. If you film a screen device, it's going to reflect a bright color right back at you. So if you point this at a camera, or at a screen rather, and use it to film, you're immediately going to pick up the bright reflection of the orange. So I already don't regret not getting orange. I like this. Size-wise, it looks almost the same. When it comes to feel in the hand, yeah, this one's definitely a lot slicker, which, I liked the grippiness of the aluminum. Let's go ahead and peel this one. I'm gonna hold the mic close again, and I don't freaking know if y'all picked up on that. I frankly don't care. It's a weird fetish people have. I like this. You know what else I just realized holding these two together is the actual antenna bands on the darker color hide around the actual camera bump way better than they do on the orange. Like, the orange has almost a less color matched look to the antenna bands. And the 5G, oh, that's where they put the 5G antenna. Okay, your 5G antenna, I'll show it on the orange because it shows up more on the orange. Your little 5G spot is right. The spot for your 5G antenna is right up on top here instead of off to the side. People can let me know because again I skipped the 16 generation. Did they put it there on the 16? Because on the 15 you had the 5G area off to the side where they've of course put camera control, which is again another feature that's new to me but not new to people who used the 16s, so y'all will have to let me know. Let's go ahead and I'm going to fire up mine here. So alongside of course the aesthetic change to the camera bump on top, going from this little corner piece to this side piece here, what you also get is of course the giant patch here of ceramic shield. So people calling it glass, it might be, it's hard to tell. I think it's glass, but well, I think it's the ceramic shield glass, but this is going to be where MagSafe is, this is going to be where your wireless charging is, but the rest of the phone is of course aluminum compared to titanium for its cooling benefits. Now, on top of the camera notch just being bigger, the sensors themselves are now improved so that every sensor, including the zoom and ultra wide, so that would be every sensor, I don't know why I reiterated there, all of the camera sensors are 48 megapixels. So previously you had the basic, I think it was just 12 for the zoom and the ultra wide, and then the main sensor was the only 48 megapixel sensor, and it was that way on the 16s as well. But now all of them are 48 megapixels, so that'll be nice. Checking out the bottom of the phones, because the antenna bands are moved, you actually have a wider little speaker microphone grill on the bottom. You also have USB-C, which looks like it's slightly more recessed in, and obviously not as scratched up as mine because it hasn't been used yet. And then, let's see, this side, yep, camera control and lock, whereas I have 5G and lock. Top, 5G, sides, volume, and your action button. So really not a whole lot of change there. Anyway, I'm going to take a pause here and get this iPhone set up. I'm going to leave my wife's unset up because obviously she's going to want to set that up, but I'll leave it here so that you all can see the nice bright colors as I compare the two here. Alrighty, so it is one transfer later, and I mentioned when I first unboxed this the whole change to aluminum because of the thermal conductivity of aluminum compared to titanium. So I already believe that to some degree because this thing is warm. I mean, most of the heat is up here because a lot of the components are kind of moved up towards this little camera bump that Apple's calling a plateau. But this thing, my iPhone 15 Pro, was just sitting here letting the data transfer, and it is particularly warm just where you would expect the CPU to be. But this thing is like cooler temperature wise than my 15 Pro, and it was like going through a full setup. So yeah, I'm inclined to believe that that's probably why they did what they did. Now, something else that Apple did say they improved on was the overall screen brightness and the screen dimming. Now, this goes up to 3000 nits, and if I remember correctly, this was like 1500. I'll have to double check on that. Actually, I misspoke. So this can do 2000 outdoors with 1000 typical and 1600 peak for HDR. So there is that. Now, while I'm slowly getting this thing to re-download all of my apps and other things, now's a good time to mention that what it will be downloading to is 256 gigabytes of storage, which is awesome because that is actually the base standard for every iPhone this year, from the standard iPhone 17 all the way up to the 17 Pros and of course the 17 Air. So there is no more 128 configuration with the iPhones. It is just 256 and up. That is a very not Apple thing to do, and it's super nice to actually see them doing it. Now, something else with the screens is that Apple actually now lets these go down to 1 nit of brightness. And as somebody who is a big bedtime video watcher, it's how I calm myself down, being able to go down that low in a low light environment is a pretty big deal, especially if there's somebody sleeping next to you, because it means that you're not really going all out with the brightness of your phone screen. It means that you can actually get it to a reasonable brightness that your spouse won't hate you for. All right, so because Geekbench isn't downloaded yet, let's go ahead and talk about the cameras. And the first one I actually want to talk about is the center stage 18 megapixel camera at the front, because this shoots at 18 megapixels, but the sensor itself is square. So what that means is that you can actually take photos or videos in landscape or portrait mode without rotating the phone. So for example here, if I open up the camera and I say I want to choose my style later, I can turn the camera around and it just kind of does what the camera does. And if I want to rotate it, I can do that, and I don't have to actually rotate the phone. Like, it actually just holds, you can see my camera floating up there, it just holds the orientation of the phone, but changes the orientation of the camera frame. That's really cool. And if I tell it to auto zoom, I guess that's gonna have to be if there's people around. And then if I want to do auto rotate, I guess that's also the case. Yeah, okay, interesting. And what if I do it for video? I do the video and I say I want to record, boom, like this. And yeah, it actually still lets me keep the 4K 30 FPS. That's interesting. I'm kind of impressed by that. More phones need to do this. This is actually a really cool feature. Now, in terms of the actual photo quality, let's take a look here. Okay, it's not bad. I'm not great at smiling in a fake way for selfies, but it's a passable photo, I would say. Now, if we rotate the camera around to the front, we now have, as I mentioned earlier, 48 megapixels for each of the camera sensors. That's the ultra wide, the standard, and the zoom. So you're not only getting an improved overall image quality for each of them, but that also allows them to do more zoom with the telephoto lens. So if I, for example, point the camera here at my other camera, it's cameraception, I can do my 2x, I can do my 4x, and there you go, there's a camera shift, and I can do my 8x, and that is supposed to be 8x optical quality. I don't know, maybe. And then it'll let me zoom all the way into 24x in the video mode. That's kind of interesting. And then when it comes to the photo mode, of course, you have the ultra wide. You can see my giant packing mess to the side there. We've got our standard 2x, 4x, 8x, just like we had before. But now, oh boy, I can zoom 40x. Holy, that is going to be interesting. Let's see how the 40x quality is. You know what, that's not a good example because I'm trying to take a picture of my freaking recording screen. Let me try something real quick. You know, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. It's not great. I wouldn't want to use it for anything other than the most extreme of scenarios, but I took a picture all the way across to the other side to my neighbor's balcony on the far side there, and that's a little bird feeder they've got, and I mean, the post-processing cleans it up pretty well, I suppose. When it comes to the kind of videos I'll normally do, where it's just pickup shots like these, it looks pretty good. Now, this is just the default mode. This is not ProRes or anything, though you will be able to film with ProRes RAW, actually, here a little later. But this isn't bad. Apple always has, in my opinion, the better color representations in their videos, and if you're not a fan of their color representation, you can film in ProRes Log, or, again soon, ProRes RAW. Then, of course, if you want to get psychotic, you can zoom in, zoom in again, and this is 8x, what they're calling telephoto quality zoom. And you can zoom all the way back out and see the giant mess that it takes to pack an apartment full of tech review stuff. Oh god. Now, the last thing I wanted to see is if this records at higher than 4K, and it doesn't. So essentially, Apple showed a preview shot of, I think it was the upcoming version, the newer version or whatever, of Final Cut Pro camera, and it had a higher than 4K resolution listed in the resolution section. You had to have an eagle eyes to catch it, but I was wondering if maybe that meant that Apple was going to be giving you higher than 4K recording capability on this phone. Doesn't seem like it, at least not in the main camera app, so that's kind of unfortunate. Okay, so Geekbench hasn't downloaded yet, but this is basically going to have the maxed out version of the new A19 Pro chip. So the A19 Pro chip is going to have 2 performance cores as well as 4 efficiency cores and 6 GPU cores. These are the newer GPU cores that have ray tracing, which was actually introduced with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So performance-wise, this thing should be pretty good. I'll put some numbers up here of what the 15 scores and what the 17 scores, and I'll put the 16 in there too, because I hate myself as an editor, I suppose. But overall, not bad. I'm definitely going to be curious how this thing will perform in the long term in terms of performance and in terms of battery life. This has the largest battery of an iPhone thus far, and so does the Pro. The Pro has the largest battery of this sized iPhone. I'll put the number up right there. Those are the two numbers for the batteries. So battery life on this, Apple claimed some insane numbers, and equally impressive on the 17 Pro for its size. Overall, I'm definitely going to be doing a lot of testing on this to get the full idea of what Apple has and has not improved on this phone, things that could be better, things that are good, and generally what it's like to use a phone that almost feels like, in a way, it goes backwards because you go with aluminum now with a unibody instead of glass front and back with titanium, but at least we still have wireless charging, at least we have a more powerful processor, and I almost forgot, one of the things with the new A19 chip to help keep that performance up is, of course, the vapor chamber. So the vapor chamber is going to essentially just help disperse the heat across the back of the phone, is what Apple's showing, and at least from what I'm getting right now, like, it does feel warmer now than the 15, so I think the 15 is cooling down and the 17 is still heating up because of the downloads it's doing. But yeah, that vapor chamber should help with keeping performance topped out much longer. Hopefully it also means that when you're outside, you don't get peak brightness for like 2 minutes and then it dims immediately. Hopefully this means that we'll actually get prolonged max brightness outside. Aside from that though, there's a couple little things, like the top speaker is longer, and of course I mentioned earlier the bottom speakers are now longer. Let me go grab a MagSafe charger and slap it on here and see where it sits, because MagSafe on the 15 Pro was right over the Apple logo, but I just realized that Apple set the logo lower, which is an interesting choice. So I guess we'll see if Apple kind of sticks with this for the next generation and generations to come, or if this was just a sort of put it center on the glass, since it's not going to be centered if we put it, I guess, to the center of the phone. I don't know. Let me go grab a MagSafe charger, see where the Apple logo sits. All right, so I do have a MagSafe charger here, and I will put it here on the iPhone, boom, and it's dead center over the Apple logo. But if I do it on this, it's actually, that's very un-Apple, actually. It sits above, I think you can probably see it up there. It sits just above the Apple logo, so there's a bit of the Apple logo hanging out from underneath. Now, from what I've seen, it does look like the new tech woven cases put the logo back more towards the center. Also, let me know in the comments if you want me to review tech woven. I had fine woven, I did a whole video on it, you can check that out over there, but I hated tech woven. It stained everything, including this MagSafe charger and my nightstand, so let me know what you all would like if you want me to do a tech woven review, but I think that brings the Apple logo more up towards the center. But otherwise, I mean, I don't really have too many complaints. I like the feel in the hand. There is something nice about the feel of aluminum in the hand. It's got that like smoother feel with this glass on the back that is actually pretty well matched in terms of texture to the aluminum, so that's kind of nice. But either way, that's just been my unboxing of these phones. I'm definitely, again, glad that I went with the darker color and not the lighter color. I know my wife's gonna love this color because she's a very trendy lady and loves to have the latest and greatest in colors and the most flashy that makes it look like the new thing. Definitely glad that I'm upgrading from my 15 Pro Max, because this was great, but I tell you what, battery life was definitely becoming a struggle, and it's going to be better on this one. At least it seems to be by the numbers. We'll see if that translates over in experience, but aside from that, appreciate you all watching. If you want to see my unboxing of the AirPod Pros 3s, I linked it earlier in the video, and I will have it linked down below. Huge thanks to the members on the channel, the Army of Steel. We're growing day by day, so you can check that out right over there, and again, linked in the description if you want to get some benefits like the shout out at the end of the video. So my camera battery chose to die right as I was shouting out the people who support this channel. But anyway, yes, go check that out. Those are the people that support me for $3 a month. And if you want to go check that out, see the benefits, the whole 9 yards, definitely make sure to check that out below. Like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And aside from that, I really appreciate you all being here. Thank you for being here for my most expensive video. And I'll see you all in the next one. Make sure to be there and have a good one.